Hello, everybody, and welcome to our yoga session. And today it's all going to be about how we can manage change. But first of all, if you're able to, please come to a comfortable sitting position. We will come down to lying soon. But as always, if you are extremely tired and you want to start from lying, that's absolutely fine. So the two things I always say at the beginning of the session are, please remember you don't need to keep looking at the screen if you don't want to. You can just listen to my voice. You can have your eyes closed, however it's comfortable for you. And then the other thing, which is most important, is that you move and be in a way that's comfortable for you throughout the session. So if anything doesn't feel right, you do what feels right for you. What I'm saying is just a suggestion. So this is all about discovering your own voice, your own agency, your own sovereignty, and how you want to move or rest. Everything I say is just guidance. So I thought it would be quite helpful, and I thought it was actually quite important to tackle the topic of change, because actually in yoga, this is a very important concept. And I, a few years ago, went to a whole weekend festival of yoga, which was all around the concept of Parinama. So Parinama is a Sanskrit word meaning change. And of course, I think we all know that the message of the universe, the universal law, is that everything is changing all the time. But of course, most of us find change uncomfortable. We want things to remain the same, and we can get very unsettled and anxious when things change rapidly. And at the moment, they seem to be changing very rapidly indeed. So this session is all about helping you to find a bit of stability and peace within so that you can manage what's happening. So I thought it might be helpful actually if I read something, and you can listen to this with your eyes closed and just rest. So this was my book that came out in 2020. It's called Yoga Therapy for Burnout, Stress and Chronic Fatigue Syndrome. And interestingly, I wrote this before the pandemic. And then as it was being published, the publisher allowed me to put some things in about the pandemic, because otherwise it would have appeared very dated. But I wrote a section about Parinama, and I'm going to read it out to you now to start our session. So please just relax while you listen to what I suggest here. Never before has there been a time when things have changed so fast and dramatically. Well, considering I wrote this in 2019, that's quite an irony. However, too much change fills us with fear. So most of us are in denial and pretending that things can remain the same. We build up as much as support as possible to keep things secure, to the point of rigidity and inflexibility. When change does come, for example, the relationship or the job ends, or someone dies, or we get ill, we may be devastated, and it may take us a long time to recover. COVID-19 interrupted our complacency and reminded us that life is always uncertain and things never remain the same. Maybe we needed to be challenged like this, to the point that we had to face the possibility of death, hard though that is. Change, after all, is what it means to be human. Everything, including all of our civic systems, are subject to the law of Parinama and can crumble, as history has demonstrated time and time again. Excessive control is one of the most common strategies for navigating life and its constant change. However, we can't control other people, the environment, or the future. Even controlling our own behavior is very difficult because of the nature of our patterns. Trying hard to be in control actually increases our primitive anxiety of being separate. So we encourage people in yoga to relax and accept our current experience. Control comes from the misunderstanding of the nature of impermanence. The irony is, the more we try to grip onto life in an attempt to make it certain and reliable, the more anxious we become, because we can never succeed at this. As we practice yoga, however, we can start to release and let go. This brings us more into the flow of life. Okay, so we're going to be looking at some tools for dealing and navigating with this change. So I'd like to invite you now to come to a comfortable sitting position and take a moment or two just to connect with your body. Start by just observing your thoughts, your emotions, your energy, and how you are physically. And whatever is there, even if it's anxiety or fatigue or pain, just see if you can allow that to be without resisting it. And start by observing the spaces between your thoughts. If you were here last week, you might remember we were just bringing some space into our system. And then reflect on what part of you always remains the same, even when there is change. So whatever age you are, there may have been great changes that have taken place in your life, including illness. But there is something in you which is the same as when you were a child, same as last week or yesterday. There is some isness of you which is always present. So take a moment or two to see if you can observe that, make a connection to that, find it. And if you can't, that's fine, but just see if you can observe what it is I'm talking about. Feel your hips on your supports. Feel where your hands are. Feel your body as a sacred space. Soften your jaws. Soften around the eyes. Soften the shoulders away from the ears. And feel as if the head is floating up from the spine. So you have this idea of softening. And then we're going to do a little bit of optional chanting. So this morning, I thought I would introduce a bhavana or a focus of the sun, because whatever is happening, the sun still continues to rise and set. So we're going to chant to the sun if you would like. So I'd like to invite you now to bring your hands together at the heart. And the chant is going to be Om Suryaya Namaha, which means I give thanks to the sun. So for this, I just suggest you do look at the screen while I demonstrate. So it's going to be like this. I'm going to inhale. Om Suryaya Namaha. And then breathing in, bringing the hand back to the heart. So when you're ready, breathe in. Take the hand out to the side and then come back to the heart. Om Suryaya Namaha. Breathe in, out to the other side. Follow your fingers with your gaze. Om Suryaya Namaha. In your own breathing rhythm, your own tone. Inhale out, just breathe if you don't want to chant. Om Suryaya Namaha. Once more, inhale out to the side. Om Suryaya Namaha. And then do that once more to each side, or if you like, just sit with the hands on the heart, reflecting on the light in the heart and the stability that the sun brings us. And then again, just rest for 2 or 3 minutes with the eyes closed if that's comfortable for you. Just reflecting on if the chant has brought you a little bit of peace and stability. Asking, can I be just in this moment? Coming into the body, if the mind's floated off, come back to the body and just observing the breath. Observing all change, fluctuations with compassion. So even as we sit quietly, there are little micro changes taking place. The heart is beating, the breath is changing. Just observe that with compassion. And I always quote Eckhart Tolle. He says, in this moment, there is nothing to fear. There is only fear if we leave this moment, and that is a thought. So see if you can use your body as a portal to be present here now, knowing that there is something in you which is always permanent. Just being compassion to your state of being, whatever is arising in this moment. And we're going to take one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly. And take a moment or two to direct the breath quietly and gently into the hand that's on the belly. So we're not breathing too deeply, but we're thinking of the breath being slow and low. Breathing through the nose if you can, but if you can't, that's fine. And then just focusing on a long, smooth exhalation. And then for the next 3 to 5 breaths, please hum the breath out. So inhaling through the nose. Humming the breath out in your own breathing rhythm, in your own pitch. Just allowing that out breath to soothe you and to help with your breathing. And then when you finish, just drop your hands to your knees. And again, just sit quietly, rest quietly for a moment, reflecting on the real you, which lies behind the chatter of the mind, which is your true, shining self, always there for you. There is peace there. So just recognize and know that peace. And if the mind wanders, bring it back to the body or to the breath or to those points of you that connect with your support, such as the hips or the feet. And then when you're ready, please come down to resting. Of course, you can remain seated if you prefer. You can lie on the floor, on a mat, on a bed, on a sofa. I suggest you start with the knees bent, feet hip width apart, something under your head to support your neck. But as always, if you need to lie in a different way, maybe on your front for your breath, that's also fine. And just let yourself feel anchored by the earth. So feel that support beneath you. Feel it holding and cradling you. And again, because you've transitioned, just feel into the body, be aware of the jaw and the eyes being soft. Have this concept of softening. Think of the spine, dividing the back in half and the left and right side of the back and releasing from the spine. Maybe wriggling the shoulders away from the ears. Maybe lifting up the tailbone and then releasing it back down just to lengthen the back. And again, become aware of your breath. And this time we're going to take the hands to the belly with the middle fingers touching. And as you breathe in, the middle fingers slightly space apart. As you breathe out and the diaphragm lifts, the middle fingers come back together. Breathing through the nose if you can, breathing slowly, mindfully. And if you don't like focusing on the breath, just focus on the movements of the belly. Very gentle, subtle movements. And then providing you don't have back issues, you might like to stretch out one leg, then the other, and have the feet apart. Return the arms back beside the body with the palms turned up. So you're lying in the relaxation pose of Shavasana. And we're just going to do some very gentle optional movement. We can do it with the chants just to help our breath and to help tone the vagus nerve. So if you like to, turn your palms down beside you so they're resting beside the hips. And what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in and lift the arms up behind us. If the shoulders are tight, you can widen the arms. They don't have to come all the way behind you. And then we're going to chant the palms back beside the hips. Om Suryaya Namaha. Take an extra breath if you need to as you chant. Again, breathing in, lifting up the arms behind you so the backs of the hands come towards the floor, and then chanting the palms back. Om Suryaya Namaha. In your own breathing and your own pitch. And if you don't want to chant, you can just do the movements. Think of it like a moving meditation. And as I say, whatever change is happening, remembering the sun always shines, the sun always sets. It's always there for us, bringing us nourishment and life. And then finishing the one that you're on. When you're ready, just hug the knees into the chest and rock out the spine from side to side. And then we're going to drop the feet to our support, our mat maybe. Have the feet hip width apart, heels coming in towards the buttocks. And take the arms out like a cross, slightly below shoulder level. The palms can be up or down. And we're just going to do some twisting movements because twists work in all kinds of functions in the body, but they're also really stabilizing. So we want to think about being stable at this time. So we're going to move with the breath if we can, but if you can't, that's fine too. And if you can't take your knees all the way down to the floor, that's also fine. And please do use any padding or support under your knees that you might like. So take an in-breath where you are. And then as you exhale, take the knees down towards the left and roll the head to look over the right shoulder. Keep the shoulders aligned on your support. And then breathing in, center the head and the knees. Breathing out, take the knees to the right, the head rolls to look over the left shoulder. Breathe in to center. On your next out breath, the knees and head go in opposite direction. And just continue in your own breathing rhythm. Moving with the breath, resting out when you need to. So remember what I said at the beginning of the class, the most important thing is what your body needs. So if you need to rest out, please do so. Remember, I'm not in your body, we're all different. If you just need to rest today, then rest. And when you've moved an equal number of times on both sides, just bring the knees back into the chest and just enjoy a gentle rock from side to side. And then you can drop your feet down to the mat or your support, stretch out the legs again and rest into Shavasana, the relaxation posture. So feet come apart, arms away from the body, or the knees might remain bent if you've got back issues. And just rest and observe the breath, observe the body. Keep your awareness in the body. Again, observing the space between the thoughts. Breath slow from the diaphragm through the nose. And just observing that sacred pause after the out breath before the inhale naturally arises again. And then, because we're looking at Parinama change, I thought it would be quite nice to do a really nice stabilizing posture before we go into our relaxation. So we're just going to do a modified lying tree, if you would like. So please bring the feet together and bend the right knee. And then if it's comfortable for you, open the right knee out to the side. So the foot is gently resting on the left knee. And if you need to put padding or support under that right knee, please do so. And if it's not too tiring for you, you can gently flex the left foot. So the toes are pointing towards the ceiling, but if that's too much, have the left foot relaxed. And just take the palms to the heart. And breathe. Imagine your foot, your left foot, is the roots of your tree. And think about where you are touching your support, like your head, your bottom, your heel. Feel those points stabilizing you with the earth. And just breathe. Allowing the mind to become quiet. If you're feeling you've got more energy and you would like to do a more dynamic posture, you might like to lift the arms up and over the head, palms together, to open the rib cage. So you're into a full version of the lying tree. But please listen to your body and modify, and don't push, don't do anything that creates stress or violence to the body. Keep the movements soft. And then when you're ready, bring the hands to the heart. If they're not there already, relax the left foot, lift the right foot, and then relax the arms beside the body and stretch out the right leg. And just take a few resting breaths. Again, focusing on the quietness between the thoughts and that sense of your own presence, always here to support you. And then when you're ready, and if you would like, we'll take that to the other side. So bring the feet together, and this time bend the left knee, and then open the left knee to the side, using support under that knee if you need to. So the foot of the left leg is gently resting against the right knee, not pressing. And then you can either have the right foot soft, or you can flex the foot slightly. And then bring the palms together at the heart. And breathe. Thinking about the stability of your lying tree, your heel and your buttocks and your head connecting, your shoulder blades connecting with the earth. And if you want a more dynamic movement, you can just lift the arms above you to open up the front of the body in the rib cage. But listen to your body and decide which version is right for you today, working with kindness and compassion. And in this posture, the rib cage is free, the diaphragm is free. So just think about breathing slow and low through the nose, if that's all right for you. And then to release from the posture, relax the right foot, bring the hands back to the heart if they're not there. And then inhale to lift the left knee up. And then stretch out that left leg. And rest the arms down beside the body. And then again, just take a moment or two to observe. Does the left side feel different from the right? Make this observation without any judgment. And again, just see if you can find that sense of yourself that's always here to support you. Whatever change is happening externally, there's something stable and permanent within that will always support you when you become quiet and peaceful. So just observe that peace. And then when you're ready, we're going to go into our yoga nidra practice. So please use any blocks or blankets or pillows. And I'm actually going to stop the recording now and record again. So I'm going to record this yoga nidra separately, just while you take a moment or two to get ready.